Most gardeners were taught the same rule: feed the plant, add nitrogen when leaves yellow, add phosphorus for roots, add potassium for flowers, bags, bottles, charts, schedules. But here's the uncomfortable truth old farmers understood long before fertilizer companies existed. Plants don't eat fertilizer, soil life does. If you've ever wondered why two gardens with the same fertilizer perform completely differently, the answer isn't above ground, it's underground, and that's where a single spoon of molasses changes everything. Today we're not talking about feeding plants, we're talking about feeding the system that feeds plants, and once you understand that distinction, root growth stops being mysterious and starts becoming predictable. Why roots respond when microbes are fed instead of plants. In healthy soil, roots don't forage blindly, they cooperate. Beneath every plant is a living network of bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and nematodes. These organisms mine minerals from soil particles, unlock nutrients plants cannot access on their own, and trade them directly with roots in exchange for sugars. Plants already know this. They actually leak sugars through their roots on purpose. These are called root exudates, and in healthy systems plants send up to 40% of their photosynthetic energy underground just to keep microbes working. But, honestly, modern gardening breaks this relationship. Sterile soils, compacted ground, synthetic salts, and constant disturbance all collapse microbial populations. When microbes disappear, roots just stop expanding aggressively because, well, there's nothing worth growing toward. You can add fertilizer all day long and still end up with shallow, weak root systems. Here's the thing, molasses doesn't feed the plant, it actually feeds the workforce the plant depends on. So, let's talk about what molasses actually does in soil, and honestly what it doesn't do. Molasses contains almost no usable nitrogen, phosphorus, or potassium. If you pour it into dead sand, nothing happens at all. That's why, calling it a fertilizer is really misleading. What molasses provides is fast carbon. Simple sugars basically. It's energy for the microbes. When microbes receive carbon, they multiply rapidly. As their populations increase, mineral cycling really speeds up. Phosphorus that was locked in the soil becomes available. Calcium moves around. Even trace elements unlock. Roots actually detect all this activity and respond by branching out and producing those fine feeder roots. This is why gardeners often see stronger root systems without dramatic top growth. The plant isn't being forced, it's being supported. So, why did this knowledge fade instead of disappearing completely? Well, old farmers were using sugar sources long before anyone had microscopes to explain why they actually worked. Beet sugar, molasses, even diluted syrups were applied strategically to tired fields. But when industrial fertilizers arrived, feeding microbes just stopped making financial sense. After all, it didn't sell bags, and it didn't require constant purchasing. But, molasses never really disappeared. It just sort of moved quietly into compost piles, animal feed, and into the hands of a few soil-focused growers who never forgot that living soil outperforms fed plants every single time. So, how do you use molasses correctly without damaging your soil? Honestly, this is where most people fail. Not because the method is complex, but because, well, it feels almost too simple. Alright, so, start with warm water. Not hot, not cold. Just warm enough to dissolve sugars fully. If the water's too cold, molasses will just sink and clump at the bottom. Always try to use unsulfured molasses whenever possible, since sulfur dioxide actually suppresses microbial activity. But, hey, if you don't have molasses, brown sugar works just fine. Even white sugar will do in a pinch. Honestly, microbes don't care about branding. The ratio, honestly, matters more than anything else here. Use 1 to 2 tablespoons per gallon of water. That's it, no need to go overboard. More doesn't mean better. Too much sugar can feed opportunistic organisms, attract ants, and really create imbalance in your soil. Stir the mixture until it's fully dissolved and then apply it only to the soil, never the leaves. Sugar on foliage just invites pests and disease, which nobody wants. Remember, this is all about root zone biology, not foliar feeding. Apply slowly so it really soaks into the soil where microbes actually live. So, let's talk about when molasses really shines, and well, when it doesn't do much at all. Molasses works best when your soil already has some organic matter present. Think compost mulch, decaying roots, or worm castings. What molasses does is speed up the digestion process, but it doesn't actually create food on its own. Now, if your soil is stripped, compacted, or has been chemically sterilized, molasses alone just won't solve the problem. You need to build habitat first, and then, once that's in place, you can stimulate biological activity. This is exactly why molasses pairs so well with things like compost tea, worm castings, and other organic amendments. It's kind of like feeding the workers and stocking the kitchen at the same time, you know? So, let's talk about how often you should actually use molasses without creating a dependency in your soil. This isn't, something you want to do every week, and it's definitely not for every single watering. Honestly, once every 2 to 4 weeks is plenty. Microbial populations in your soil spike pretty quickly and then, well, they stabilize. If you keep dosing with sugar all the time, you end up causing crashes, imbalance, and even more pest pressure. Think of molasses kind of like coffee. Use now and then, it really sharpens performance, but if you use it constantly, it just burns out the whole system. Old farmers, they used it strategically, after a heavy rain, during transplant shock, or in tired beds, but not as a crutch, So, what changes will you actually notice if it's working? You're not going to see miracles overnight, and honestly, that's a good sign. Healthy biology does its job quietly. Within a day or two, you'll often see plants regaining their firmness. Leaves start to look more hydrated and alert. And the color, it deepens just a bit, not because you added more nitrogen, but because the plant's nutrient movement has improved. So, the real proof is below ground. Just, pull a plant gently and compare. You'll see these dense networks of fine white feeder roots instead of just a few thick strands. That's absorption. That's resilience. And honestly, that's why plants fed this way tolerate heat, drought, and stress so much better. Alright, let's talk about the myths that ruin this method for most people. First off, molasses is not a fertilizer. It won't replace compost, and it certainly won't resurrect dead soil. Plus, it doesn't work everywhere equally. If you overuse it, you'll end up feeding the wrong organisms. Ant explosions, that's a warning sign, folks. And sour smells, they indicate an imbalance. Remember, biology always obeys supply and demand. Now, when used correctly, molasses can restore cooperation underground, but if you use it blindly, it just creates chaos. So, why does this matter more now than ever? Well, modern gardens are really pushed hard. There's repeated planting, heavy harvests, shallow roots, and, unfortunately, depleted soils. By feeding microbes, we rebuild the system instead of just forcing results. Just 1 spoon of molasses doesn't grow plants. It reminds the soil how to work again. If this changed how you think about roots, go ahead and subscribe to the Nature's Fix. Share this with someone who's still feeding plants while starving the soil. Remember, strong gardens are built underground first.